This is the future, and humanity is all but extinct.
First, they start skipping prescribed drug dosages. Then they begin touching. I volunteer as tribute!
You can stop this. You can change things.
I know that there's something more. Then we've only got one choice. We fight!
Fight the Future with Dan and Paul.
Welcome to the last ever episode of Fight the Future with Dan and Paul. I'm Dan.
And I'm Paul.
Yeah, so we're shutting it down.
Mm-hmm.
The important thing is I'm not going to be forced to watch Allegiant.
Yes. I love on the billboard for the theater near me, the name, it just says Divergent Allegiant. It's it seems like that's the complicated movie.
It sounds like the first half of an SAT question. Divergent is to Allegiant as... But this movie has not done well. I don't know if you've been following this, Paul.
I have not.
This is a good reason to stop the podcast, which is that the trend is dying.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I wouldn't say we hit it at the peak,
No.
but there was. I mean, part of the impetus for starting the series was there did seem to be this huge push for the young adult dystopian things after the Hunger Games was so popular.
It seemed like there was no end in sight for a while, back in those heady days of 2015.
I feel like there's, for some reason, movie studios get obsessed with this, all right, Hunger Games did well, so that means that people must want these young adult dystopia things, or Harry Potter went well, that means kids want magical kids movies. It's no, they want good movies. Yeah, the genre isn't actually as important.
Yeah, it's complicated. I mean, yeah, I'd hate to lose a company $100 million, so it must be a nerve-wracking job.
Mm-hmm.
So reading box office profits about the weekend that Allegiant came out, it says, Divergent series Allegiant underperformed with just $29 million on the weekend, a 44% drop from the opening weekend of Insurgent. They call it the first really big nail in the coffin of the dystopian YA subgenre in film.
All right.
But we should have seen this coming because the crash came in books much earlier. So here's Publishers Weekly from 2013, September 27th. Ding Dong Dystopia's Dead is the name of the title. One of the toughest sells in YA these days is anything that has, quote, even a whiff of dystopia about it. There are editors who you sense want to curl up and die when you mention it. So right now it's more realistic, like John Green type YA novels that people are into. So we actually may be seeing our source dry up, which makes it another good place to stop.
Just because there's so much more selection in the book area, the books were pretty much universally much better than the movies that we did.
Yeah, so that's one of the things I thought we could do for this last episode, Paul. So in a normal episode, we will talk about one particular dystopian world. So we don't talk about criticizing a book or a movie. We talk about the world itself. We talk about the setting, the plausibility, scariness, hope for the future, and a segment called How Would They Do? Normally. But this episode is going to be all about our podcast. So it's kind of a clip show. It's kind of a victory lap for something that was not a victory. It's kind of a fan service for a very, very small fan base.
Hey. It's small but dedicated fan base.
It's slightly bigger than the one of the Flight of the Conchords in the show Flight of the Conchords. So we're going to talk about some stuff related to the podcast, like the theme music, where it comes from. We're going to play some outtakes and funny bits that were not within the show itself.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about How Would They Do, which is my favorite segment and a lot of people's favorite. Read out some things, yeah, explain what is said at the end of every episode. So it's going to be fun.
Alrighty.
But yeah, one thing we can talk about is what we really think. So what movie or book did you hate the most? Let it out. Give in to your anger, Paul.
I mean, A Boy and His Dog was absolutely reprehensible and horrible as a movie. But it did have some redeeming factors as sort of a historical artifact.
Yeah, it was something. It was kind of cool in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and knowing, and especially when looking at other dystopias or in other pieces of Fallout and Mad Max and all that kind of stuff, it's neat to sort of see where a lot of those kind of things came from. But
it was hard to watch.
It was definitely hard to watch. It's certainly not something that I would have watched without doing the podcast, I don't think.
Yeah, we'll get into that later, actually, in a clip.
How I Live Now, I was not a fan of. Definitely. Yeah? That was a tough one.
I thought it was brilliant, but yeah, very hard to watch.
But it had that combination of where it was extremely unpleasant subject matter, because there's some, the violence and the story was horrible and stuff, and the sort of, I guess what was considered to be, the sort of positive part of it was this sort of young adult love story that was also extremely uninteresting to me. Maybe if you were the target demographic for that particular love story, then that would kind of balance out the harsher elements of it a little bit. But it just annoyed me more.
Right, the guy who had a falcon, so he was sensitive.
Yeah. It was so good.
Insurgent is my most hated movie. Because Insurgent is just, there's nothing there. It's like total contempt for the audience. That they just, some running around and shooting guns and telling you you're special is enough to keep these stupid teens occupied.
It was certainly a massive step down from Divergent, even though Divergent was also not that good. But
yeah,
at least Divergent had some sort of interesting stuff in it.
I think when it comes down to it, I would rather watch a bad version of The Hunger Games than a bad version of, like, The Fault in Our Stars. Something that is ultimately why dystopias are idea-driven, even if the ideas are very dumb.
Yeah.
Right. So you mentioned that you're not that engaged by the super hunks in that movie or other movies. And which reminds me of one of my clips that I have here, which is when I appeared on the Desert Bus for Hope marathon.
Ooh.
So I came on to talk about the podcast and keep Paul awake while he was driving. This was at 9 a.m. or something on one of the times, which was good for me because of the time difference. We chatted, and I gave Paul a quiz about the movies that we watched. So let's take a listen to this.
Okay.
You see it?
I think.
Of a young man.
Okay, so your job is to match the.
This is just a photo of you again. I don't see what the point is.
I know. The resemblance is striking. This is called post-apocalyptic hunks.
Oh no.
And the job is for you to match the hunk to the movie which you saw. You watched all of these movies for an hour.
I couldn't tell the difference between the two guys and the host. And they were in the same movie and talking to each other.
Exactly.
When
this
it
is
cut
going to be
from
your
one to
hardest
the other,
challenge.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah, so you have to match the young starlet, male equivalent of starlet, to the post-apocalyptic dystopia that they were from, which you, by the way, watched them star in for an hour and a half in the last year.
All right. I'm going to go with Hunger Games.
This is City of Ember.
Oh.
That's not what he looked like in City of Ember.
No, these are headshots.
But these are like
Just to make
current headshots, right?
Current headshots, yeah, just to make it more difficult.
That's even worse. Who is that? Help me. I don't know.
Take a guess.
All right. I'm going to say Hunger Games on this one. No.
You say Hunger Games.
This is not the same man, by the way.
Hi, just.
You were
Okay, you
honestly
get
the most
5
important
seconds.
person in this room, Paul.
I know.
5, 4, 3, 2,
Maze
1.
Runner. Wait, no. Was that Maze Runner? No?
No.
Oh. I don't know who these guys are.
I swear he's sunken through the same pictures again.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
last 3?
You've looped through pictures, haven't you?
The last 3 are all from the host.
Oh.
This one and the previous 2 are all from the host. So I get all the points. Okay, ready for the last one?
All right.
Okay. Post-apocalyptic hunks.
Ah. This would be from Nazca.
Excellent! Ding, ding, ding!
Yay!
Yeah.
All right,
So
you know,
hunky.
please.
Umu.
How do I get off the screen share?
All right. So we've fairly definitively proven that I can't tell the difference between 19-year-old pretty white guys. So, I don't know.
Well, that explains a lot, Paul. A lot of angry phone calls I fielded for you. Phone calls.
Yeah, so
Nice.
you did not do very well.
No. And then, they take their shirts off, and so you can't even be like, oh, there's the guy in the red shirt and the guy in the green shirt. It's like, no, they take
Shirts
their
and skins, at least, they could do.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to break down the structure of the podcast a little bit and talk about what goes into the making of it. Pull back the curtain. So, theme music. You may have noticed that we have an awesome theme song. Incredibly
Yes.
awesome. And that is thanks to our composer, Bradley Rains, who is an acquaintance of Paul, has worked for Loading Ready Run for a while.
Yeah, he does almost all of the music, actually, that we use for various things. We use for, the introductions to our various shows.
Yeah, no, he's incredibly talented. And like, what's most amazing, I've got bits of some of the emails that I sent because he took my vague non-musical person descriptions of what I wanted it to sound like. This is the first of many power trips that I made on this podcast, where I was like, here's what I want it to sound like. And he got exactly what I had in mind. The music underneath right now is actually the very first version, though, of the podcast theme, never before heard. That's in response to my first set of instructions. And here's what I said. I want 30 seconds of synth pop music, eerie and futuristic in a retro way, but also high energy. In fact, exactly like the music from the Turbo Kid trailer. So oppression plus rebellion and kick-ass. And then I was like, I want something synthwave, like a sinister, futuristic, propulsive part, and then blowing up into high energy, a kind of a drop, a la the Mega Man 2 theme. But I don't want quite chiptunes, more of a Moog/synthesizer sound. Right, so we got this back, and I heard it in the Gatwick airport. I was like, this is incredibly cool. But it's not quite right. I do think it needs an adjustment. Right now it's a little moody and melancholy in an awesome way, but I want it to be more tense and desperate, with a faster tempo at the beginning. And I want the drop to be a little more exciting. Anyway, I hope we get a couple takes. I want us to be super pumped every time we hear our own theme song. So he went away, and then he came back with something totally different, which is actually the music that we use at the end of the show. Mm-hmm. And even then, I still had more notes to change it back until he was like, okay, enough. We did not discuss all of this. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is amazing. I'm sorry for being annoying.
It's one of those tricky things where, like, you want to have that, like, moody build-up, but then it has to be only, 30 seconds long. So a slow, moody build-up, but also quickly.
Yeah, and he did it. He fucking nailed it, like exactly what I had in my mind. So I was so pleased with what we did, especially once I layered on the audio clips. If you don't think that it's hard, imagine how you would take a piece of music and then make it more, quote, tense and desperate. And,
Yeah.
So we are now officially releasing those 3 pieces of music, which are about a minute and a half in total, to the public domain. So you can use them for any purpose. You can remix it. You can sell it. Please don't sell it, but you can do whatever you want to do with it without asking us or even crediting us, although it would be a dick move not to at least credit Bradley Rains.
And I mean, it's not explicit in the license or anything, but we would really like to hear if you do use it, because we're just curious.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But like, my dream is that it will show up in like a movie trailer someday. We have clean versions appended to the end of this episode of all 3 songs, and we're also going to put them on SoundCloud.
And the links will be in the description for the video, for the podcast, I should say.
Yeah, so something that we started doing after the beginning was guests. And we realized that it's super fun to bring in our friends to come in and be on the podcast, especially if they're passionate about young adult dystopias, which all of our guests are.
Yeah. I mean, that's has been kind of another cool thing about this show, is realizing that a lot of our friends or people we know are passionate about young adult dystopias.
So we had 13 guests in 26 episodes. Dylan, Ian, Cynthia, Emily, Jim, Tali, Cam, Dustin, Caitlin, Abby, Cecile, and Gabi. And so we want to thank you guys for coming on, even though there was a lot of technical hassle involved, because often we were doing things where I was in Italy, you're in Victoria, Paul, and our guest was in New York City, one case San Francisco.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. But it was totally worth it, because some of my best friends are on this podcast and being themselves, contributing great stuff.
And it was also good because we made them listen to at least one episode of the podcast. So
Right.
That,
so
that inflated
doubled
our
our
view numbers.
listenership. Yeah. And we also made them rap. Just before we get to the episode, we have them rap Intergalactic with us, just to get the energy up. And I've saved all those recordings. So I'm about to play a montage that I've made of all of these guests as a tribute to them. So I do want to say that it's completely unfair, because they did not know they were going to have to do this. They did not know it was going to be ever played. And they did not have any music to listen to, and some were not familiar with the song.
But I think those are pretty minor inconveniences, really.
So please enjoy Intergalactic.
Jazz and AWOL, that's our team. Step into the party, disrupt the whole scene.
When it comes to beats, well, I'm a fiend. I like my sugar with coffee and cream.
Got to keep it going full steam. Too sweet to be sour, too nice to be mean.
On the tough guy style, I'm not too keen to try to change the world. I will plot and scheme.
Mario C likes to keep it clean. Gonna shine like a sunbeam.
Keep on rapping, cause that's my dream. Got an A from Modi for sticking to themes.
When it comes to envy, y'all is green. Just to the rhyme and the rhyme routine.
Another dimension, new galaxy. Intergalactic planetary.
From the family tree of old school hip hop. Kick off your shoes, relax your socks. The rhymes will spread just like a pox, cause the music is live like electric shock.
I am known to do the wop. Also known for the Flintstone flop. Tammy D getting biz on the crop. Beastie Boys known to let the beat drop.
When I wrote graffiti, my name was Slop. If my rap suit, my beats is stock. Step from the tables as I start to chop. I'm a lumberjack DJ at rock.
If you try to knock me, you'll get mocked. Stir fry you in my wok. Your knees will start shaking and your fingers pop like a pinch on the neck of Mr. Spock.
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
So I said that we surprised everybody, but that's not actually true. One person we didn't surprise, so...
Somebody had actually done their homework.
Someone did their homework. So let's take a listen to Cecile and her entire verse of Intergalactic. So this is an American band from the 1990s, which is mostly based on yelling. So there's no musical or rapping ability required.
Sure.
Your job is just to yell.
Okay.
So we'll each take a verse, and you'll get an idea. I think we usually go me, guest, and then Paul.
Okay.
And the way it works is that we all yell the last word of each line.
Okay.
And
we just yell the last word of each line. That's what we do.
Yep, it's a very high-level American musical genre.
Awesome.
Folk form, really.
Because actually, you had spoiled that to me, and I was extremely afraid of it. So I spent the last 24 hours preparing for that.
Oh my god! No. Oh no!
Yeah.
She's gonna be like the second coming of Adam Yauch. That's one of the Beastie Boys. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, this is a first, I think.
Which was fun.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Do you want to wrap the whole thing and we can just yell at the end?
Well, this has only gotten me to the level where maybe one line is good on all of them. Jason, oh well, that's our team. Step inside the party, disrupt the whole scene. When it comes to the beats, well, I'm keen. I like my sugar with coffee and cream. Well, I got to keep it going for steam. Too sweet to be sour, too nice to be mean. On the tough guy style, I'm not too keen to try to change the world. I will plot on screen. Mario C likes to keep it clean. Gonna shine like a sunbeam. Keeping on rapping, cause that's my dream. Got a motif from sticking things. When it comes to envy, always green. Jealous of the rhyme and the hype routine. Another dimension, a new galaxy. Intergalactic planetary.
Intergalactic Intergalactic. That was amazing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's great with the accent.
She's great. Swiss French.
Yeah, the slow roll of just letting you explain the whole song to her before she actually tells you that she knows what's going on.
That was masterful.
That. Yeah.
I got punked. Next, I want to talk about a segment that sometimes gets buried at the end of our podcast. And I think many people don't get there. I certainly will leave podcasts halfway through, but it's one of the coolest parts, called How Would They Do?
Mm-hmm. This actually sort of changed very early on.
Yeah.
Because originally it was going to be how would we as Dan and Paul do in the world that's presented in the the book or the movie.
Mm-hmm.
As we are for real. And we realized that as we are for real are big wimps. And in the vast majority of situations that are presented, if we're in like the Hunger Games, then what we would do in real life is do whatever we could to try to avoid being in the Hunger Games.
Please.
Which, while truthful, is not really entertaining to listen to us say the same thing over and over again.
And frankly, shameful. We don't need to be shamed in front of an international audience.
And the other aspect of it for Hunger Games or whatever, it's like, so who, what would you do if you were selected for the Hunger Games? And you go, oh, wait, I'm 32. I would not be selected for the Hunger Games.
We'd be the young, ambitious oligarch, right? The one who's coming up. The Seneca Crane.
Or possibly the hunky teenage love interest in a few of the movies.
Right, who's in their early 30s.
Especially Divergent.
Yep.
Right, literally is 30 in the first movie.
Thinning hair.
Yeah.
Right, so we reconfigured it so that you say, I am, and then something that you are in that world. So you can use your imagination and be anything you want, which I think is what's so cool about it. Any character or type of job that exists in that world. So let's listen to this.
I am a other sleeper agent.
I am a baboon trainer.
My character is a human welder.
I am a warship constructor.
I am a factionless, but just barely a factionless.
I am one of the teachers.
I am a hydraulic engineer.
I am a dog trainer.
I am the keeper of the box.
I think I would just be one of the Amity people.
I am an actor.
So I'm thinking that I'm like one of these commandos that's coming into the maze.
I am a merchant of Airhaven.
I am a game maker from the capital.
So I am Tigris.
I am a member of Zeus's entourage.
I am a watcher on the wall.
Maybe I'd be one of those people who actually brought back the age of printed word. And
So I'm a robot programmer in the sense that I'm a robot and I'm a programmer who programs robots.
I am somebody who designs the amusements for the young pretties.
I am a digger. I am in a teenage punk band.
I am a friendship robot.
So yeah, because they appear at the end of the episode and they sometimes get lost probably, I wanted to highlight some of our favorites that have happened. So this is from Insurgent, which is in the Divergent series where there's a whole bunch of different factions all battling it out in post-apocalyptic Chicago. And Amity is the farming one. So, and Caitlin's a fan of the books too, so she's thought about this quite a bit.
Nice.
Well, I think I would just be one of the Amity people. Okay, so I'm just, tilling my earth, and, the Dauntless come with their big cars and, like, here a mile away, and I'm like, oh, well, that's irritating and not very peaceful. So I just kind of take off because I'm like, you're wrecking my peace here. I'm just going to mosey on down the line climb a tree, and I'm just going to, go to the orchard and hang out till it all blows over. Right? And I'm just watching from a treetop.
What the hell?
Till they go, and I'm like, what's all this about? This is just really not Amity. This is not how we roll. What's this all about? And then I kind of find out what's going on, and it just sounds ridiculous and quite hostile and not very nice. So I decide to go camping for a week. I'm going to go just take off on my own.
Lots of vacation time in Amity.
Yeah, I just go have a little soulful, introspective journey for a week, and just hopefully all this stuff that's happening with the people in the city, the city people, will get over themselves.
A lot of rushing around for no particular reason.
Yeah, like they just need to calm down, and I just can't handle it. So I'm going to go on a little personal retreat. So,
self-care.
I gather some fruit and food and happy bread and a jug of water, and I go off a little bit, down the way from the Amity, which is, in my world, beyond the fence where the farms are. And I just kind of set up camp when it's dark and then keep moving, and I stumble upon other people.
Ooh.
And I'm shocked because we're supposed to be the only people in the world. So I bust the myth, but there's no one there to share it with, so...
So you just kind of look up in the sky and go, life is funny.
Yeah, and I'm happy about it.
You sort of realize, you sort of inadvertently gone farther away from the city than anybody else has.
Yeah, I'm just on a happy trip, and I'm just looking.
I like this.
Looking for anything, like followed the butterfly, followed a bird, and then I just stumbled upon more people, and I just don't know what to think because I'm not that smart. I'm just happy.
I like the idea that, there's this big revelation that happens, and like everyone's streaming out of the city, and as they're streaming out of the city, they go like past Amity, and they're like, guys, you've got to see this. We just unlocked this whole big deal. And
there's a world out there. There's people.
Amity's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? It's like, yeah.
Yeah, they got good zucchini over that way.
They're
east.
there, yeah. They're like, what? You never told us? Like,
nope.
Yeah, it didn't seem that important.
No. Yeah.
Dude, you guys didn't ask.
Yeah, I dig. One of the cool things that comes out of the how would they do is this sort of idea of you could almost imagine an like alternate version of Insurgent or the Divergent series with Caitlin's character instead of Trish, and being quite a different story.
Yeah, right.
A lot less rushing around.
I love how Caitlin kind of totally internalized the Amity style.
Yeah.
But the most non-typical one was one that we did for the movie Battle Royale, which is about a group of Japanese teenagers who are in the woods and forced to fight each other with exploding collars. And they have all kinds of heavy-duty weaponry as well, machine guns and pistols and things, but they're still wearing their school uniforms. And they're on this island running around. So for this one, rather than imagining ourselves as one of the killers or one of the victims, both of which are hard to talk about, I gave Paul a little twist here. You didn't see this one coming, eh, Paul?
I did not, no. So should I open this up now?
Yeah, open it up. Okay, so Paul, for How Would They Do this time, I have sent you a file.
Oh, hey.
It is your yearbook from when you were 15. I want you to look at the faces of your classmates. This is who you would be on an island with. If there was some kind of battle royale legislation, God forbid, that was enacted in Canada in 1999, which ones would be the killers? Which ones could you take?
Page 47?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so pick a face. Tell me how you think you would confront them.
So, who do I take out?
I'm looking at your adorable picture here.
Who do I take out first, is what you're saying?
What about Mark Shorty?
Mark Short? Yeah, I sort of remember him. He was, I think he was a pretty tall guy, ironically named. I think he was on the rugby team.
Okay, so you won't use physical force.
Right. Like, it seems like the sort of, cliques that exist would kind of, at least at the beginning, would kind of stick together in some ways.
So were you part of a clique?
Yeah. We always used to, hang out at the computer lab and
okay, so who are the computer lab friends? First and last names.
Nicholas Wagner here.
Uh-huh.
Who I'm still kind of friends with. The other Paul, Thomas McCartan, Murray McCullough. I mean, these are all just people who are my friends, but...
So Paul, Nicholas, Thomas, and you. You're defending while you work on tech stuff. And who's attacking you? Would it be the jocks?
I mean, I feel like we would be fairly low down on the priority list for the jocks. Like, maybe they would come at us, once they had dealt with more high priority targets. St. Michael's has the borders, right? Like there's the kids from overseas that actually lived on campus.
Right, so they'd be tight.
So they'd be real tight, and they would be quite a force to be reckoned with.
Okay, so the borders versus the non-borders.
Yeah.
That would be the first line of division.
Unfortunately, that ends up being kind of racial profiling. Cause
they're mostly Chinese, right?
Most of them are, Chinese or Japanese.
Uh-huh.
Conveniently looking like the kids from the movie.
Including the uniforms.
Yeah, it's really tough because it
was a while ago.
Nick was a guy who I really didn't like.
Okay.
We got off on the wrong foot somehow, and he always picked on me.
So would he kill you or would you kill him, do you think?
I think it would be a tough one. Like, I think he was a pretty big guy, but I think I would surprise him with my ferocity.
Ah, I've seen that in that video of the social anxiety fear factor. It's frightening.
I remember one time we were playing soccer and I was on defense, and one of the very skilled soccer players, sort of jock guys, was coming down the side and on a complete breakaway, and it was just like I was the only one protecting the goal. For lack of anything better to do, I just kind of gritted my teeth and went sort of, "Urgh!" and he started laughing so hard that he missed kicking the ball and was able to get it away from him.
So we have a survival strategy for you, Paul.
Yes. Surprise is the key factor.
To humor.
Yeah.
And humor is your key to survival, Paul.
Yeah. Because while they're laughing, they are disabled.
You have to be like tripping over your rifle strap. And
and then bang.
A
And they least
15-year-old
expect it.
Exactly. Bullet in the head is what your humor gets.
I appear to be extremely non-threatening until the very last moment.
You die laughing.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I hope we've struck a good balance in the final edit of anonymity and such. I thought it was fun. Yeah, there is a lot of editing that goes into this podcast, strange as it may seem.
Yeah, that's the good stuff. That's what you're hearing.
Yeah, that's what's left. Often I will cut out 50% of a podcast to get to the final episode. But sometimes there's little funny bits or bloopers, and so I put a few of them together into a reel of either things that happened before the podcast, after the podcast, during, and had to be cut out. So never before heard.
Ooh.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Whoops.
One more time.
That last one doesn't count.
Whoops. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Better.
For some reason, that last one, I opened my hands when you said 5. Which I then realized doesn't make any noise. Yeah, I forgot how to clap, okay?
You clapped backwards. Oh, dear. Remnants of the previous world. It certainly looks better than Amtrak in my experience of that.
Don't hate on Amtrak. The vice president of my country is a big fan.
Ah, Lieberman. No. Shit. Fuck. Biden. They're both Joe, okay?
Okay.
And everybody hates Trenitalia. But I like riding the trains all the time here in Italy. It's pretty great. Yeah, so that's that, I guess. All right, all this will be cut out. Where I made a mistake will be cut out.
So
all right.
in sync.
So in sync. Why can't I think of an in sync song? In sync's back. All right.
No. Blackouts are occurring with increasing frequency and last longer with each time. There was... Whoa! What was that? Was that you?
Nope.
Whoa. Now...
What happened? What
Something
happened?
weird happened, and now I'm way out of sync. Oh, dude.
You're way
now
out of
I'm
sync?
speech jamming myself. What the hell happened? I'm just gonna have to pause my recording.
You're doing great.
Blah. I don't like that.
What happened?
So I just like a noise, and now like I'm hearing myself repeated through my headphone. Oh, it's back to normal now. Oh, that's good.
Well,
I just heard this weird noise in one of my earphones, and then like I have it monitoring myself, right? Like I have the monitor turned on, but the monitor started being really like delayed by like a second or half a second, and that's the worst thing ever. It's what's called speech jamming, and it makes it basically impossible to talk normally. So sorry about that.
Chicken in your fingers pop. You there?
Yes. Sorry.
Like a pinch on the neck from Mr. Spock.
Spock!
If you want to battle me, you'll get mocked. The sock flock. You'll be talked to. I can freestyle. It's pretty good.
Yeah!
Jumping from you are a bad man and therefore you'll get a chop.
Nice! That's just to so we can sync up our, because we record it locally here and then he records his and then I send it to him and he syncs it up. So it's like the little clapper paddle when you're doing thing, except less complicated.
Oh, okay, if you say so.
And I adjusted a little bit anyway to make it sound like Paul's taking long, dumb pauses.
Oh, I see some brotherly love happening here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The editor has the final say, right? So,
So much power.
You can just add in extra stupid lines from previous episodes if you want.
Sometimes if he makes a joke, I just put in cricket sounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Especially harsh.
That's a power. As in contrast to like the host aliens, they seem believable in that they want to live an easy life.
Sure.
And to get their kicks by hunting humans. Like that seems to be their goal.
I think we can all identify with that, really.
Yeah. Wait, Paul?
Yes?
You mean you identify with wanting to hunt humans?
No, of course. I meant the other one. The you're living an easy life part.
Tally ho!
The most dangerous game of them all. Man.
Parcheesi. Oh, sorry. Man, that's a better answer. Parcheesi isn't that dangerous at all, really.
Yeah. Depends on what happens when you lose, I guess.
Yeah, Parcheesi roulette.
Parcheesi to the death.
Where humans are the playing pieces. Yeah.
You even know how that would work.
So it's not all gold.
But most of it is.
Most of it is.
Surprisingly large percentage of gold.
Yeah, and it's a goofing around podcast. It's a joking around podcast is kind of how I imagined it.
Mm-hmm.
But once in a while, we have had to deal with something serious on the podcast. Specifically, all of A Boy and His Dog is something serious to deal with.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had some discussions about how to actually deal with it. And as you'll hear in this next clip, right, so we took two approaches. First of all, we recorded the story part twice. The first time was somehow we didn't quite hit the right note. It was like a little too jokey, considering the subject matter, which you'll hear about. And so we went back and recorded it as straight-faced as possible, and then we created a new segment called What the Fuck, which is where we talked about all of the what the fuck aspects of this movie, which there are plenty of. So we tried to kind of segregate it out.
We had to do that just as like a release valve. Otherwise, those things would keep creeping into other segments.
Yeah, it would take over the whole podcast. It still kind of did, but yeah. So what you're going to hear is, first of all, us after the first attempt, kind of regrouping at the first attempt at the plot summary, and then you're going to hear bits of the what the fuck segment, the beginning and the end of the what the fuck segment. Okay. That was not very deadpan.
No, damn it. I was like, how to do this? I don't know. Should we do it again?
I almost kind of want to. Like, it was fine. Like, it'll work.
Like, I can't, like, I don't know what the balance is between saying the stuff that happened and saying how ridiculous it is.
It's like reporting without commenting
on
things. Like, your reactions were perfectly natural, but I just have this plan in my head.
Yeah, I'm trying to... It's just trying to describe what's going on, but the act of describing it reveals how insane it is. So
right, so it speaks for itself.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Okay, what the fuck? What the very much fuck?
So this is a new segment that we
special to this particular
are doing
movie.
just for this movie. You have no idea how difficult it was to do that plot summary without just stopping to say what the fuck every 10 seconds.
That was our second take that you probably heard there.
Yeah. Oh jeez.
Oh dear God, this movie. Right. Maybe you can start by reminding us of the last line of the movie.
Right.
Which is how it's made perfectly ambiguous that he's fed Quilla June Holmes and brace yourself. This is an infamous line for good reason.
Yeah. So the final line of the movie is Blood, telepathically talking to Vic, goes, "Well, I'd say she had marvelous judgment, Albert," she calls Vic, "if not particularly good taste." And he kind of walk off into the sunset.
God, Jesus Christ.
So
what the fuck?
What's interesting, actually, though, is that line is different from the short story that this is based on by Harlan Ellison, and Harlan Ellison actually really objected to that last line.
But I mean, I've heard that. I read that too, but it's it doesn't really change the ending.
No,
it's the same ending in both.
The
it's
ending,
the pun
the
that he
ending
objects
doesn't
to.
change. Yeah,
he was bothered by the pun.
The ending of the novel of the short story is Vic sort of doing voiceover. Quilla goes, do you know what love is? Because she's sort of trying. I guess she's trying to manipulate him because she loves him. I love you. You know what love is? And then he says, "Do you know what love is?" "Sure, I know. A boy loves his dog."
Yeah, so it's a little more complicated, I guess, than just the haha, we just ate the woman.
But it's still that happened.
Bitches, man. Bitches.
Yes.
I saw one. It was the message of the film is bros before hoes or mutts before sluts.
It's yeah, I mean, the entirety of the movie and all of Vic's motivations throughout the vast majority of the movie is that he wants to find a woman to rape.
Yeah, that's the whole first 20 minutes is him constantly saying, "Hey, find me a woman. Find me a woman." As of all the stories to be faithfully adapted.
Yeah. I
was thinking about how you would remake it now, and you could do it how they updated the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland, where instead of just chasing after the women were now carrying plates of food, so the men were chasing after the food.
So it's all okay now.
Yeah. That's how I would remake this film.
The women are the people
has sausages draped around her.
She has all the canned food.
Yeah. In her pants. Oh, God. Yeah, but, I mean, the theme of it is that the above world is actually kind of better in some ways than the horrible civilization that this evil woman is trying to lure him into.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's what is intended. I mean, that doesn't, as a watcher now, that certainly isn't what Vic actually says at one point, it's the dirtiness up there makes me feel cleaner than clean down here, or something like that. He's got some stupid line about how he felt cleaner up there in the dirt than down here, because everybody's all lying or whatever in the vault. Vic is really stupid and a terrible, terrible person, and there's no reason to think that he is actually somebody who you should be rooting for at all.
Yeah, what makes him the hero? In my mind, he grows up to be Immortan Joe.
Yeah. Or Lord Humongous, possibly, too.
Maybe. Okay, have we got it out of our system? Is there anything else you wanted to say?
I'm sure more stuff will come up.
A boy and his dog can go walking. A boy and his dog sometimes talk to each other. A boy and
Yep. Yeah.
That was a thing.
It's also our only controversial episode, which may have in fact driven hits. Fortunately, we didn't go down that road and just try to be controversial in every episode.
Yeah.
But we got
Katniss gets put into the Hunger Games, and you won't believe what happens next.
yeah. Why Katniss deserved to lose the Hunger Games. Like, whoa, I gotta
click on this.
Gotta click on this.
I'm so baited.
But yeah, we actually got angry comments about this. This guy, he says he really disliked the political discussion that's entangled in the video. It's quite frankly uneducated and improperly researched. More specifically, a lack of research.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a fair cop. I mean, we didn't really do any research for it, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. We didn't need to do research really to see that was horrible. The only reason I bring this up is because it stops me from enjoying our content and genuinely wanted to provide you some proper feedback. Anyway, nice splash art, winky face. I'll try the podcast again at some later point. But for now, I'll stick to the main content.
All right. Well,
so
he liked the splash page, so that's good.
Later comment, the podcast truly
this is from the same guy?
Same guy. The podcast truly loses me about 40 minutes in when it goes full tinfoil and treats the concept of modern Western societal patriarchy as legitimate, which is absurd when things like this exist. Then follows 10 links, including Wikipedia link to the Violence Against Women Act and a Quora.com question, is it possible for a woman to rape a man? So he's disproven patriarchy.
Right.
So yeah, sometimes we have to get creative about segments. And another unappreciated part of the podcast, I think, underappreciated, is the clip that we put at the end. That's a clip from the movie usually. But this is tricky when it comes to books. We have to think of something creative sometimes. So this is what we did for Uglies, which is a book about a world where people get obligatory plastic surgery on their 16th birthday to become a pretty, quote-unquote pretty. So they live in Pretty Town, and they just party all the time, and their brains are all bubbly, which it turns out is a side effect of the operation that they've given little localized lobotomy. So I took a different approach to this, of finding like pretty music.
So you've never heard this song before?
No.
This is the song that I think is the most pretty song that I've ever heard as far as the pretties of this book. So you can imagine them maybe singing this like on repeat during their parties. Yeah.
Hands up if you're down to get down tonight. 'Cause it's always a good time. Slept in all my clothes like I didn't care. Hopped into a cab, take me anywhere. I'm in if you're down to get down tonight. 'Cause it's always a good time. Good morning and good night. I wake up at twilight. It's gonna be alright. We don't even have to try. It's always a good time.
I don't know, I like a lot of dumb pop music. Something about this is sinister though to me. Like it just screams dystopia in a way. Yeah, it is definitely something that you can imagine, the drones in gray suits walking in lines and then this playing on like a giant monitor in the background. Like, do you want it to always be a good time? Like, philosophically. If there's no risk of it being a not so good time, does it even matter? Like, and if you don't have to try? Okay, that's enough of that. I'll stop it right there. Okay, so that counts as commentary, so we can use it legally, right, Paul? I don't know.
By the way, we get a lot of questions about, well, comments really, that our voices sound really similar because we're brothers.
Which is a massive insult to both of us for different reasons.
Yeah, I'd say my voice has a kind of a resonant, more kind of like a Barry White type of tone to it.
Like Barry White, who's been kneed in the groin. Sort of resonant, but also high-pitched and weedy.
Well, I was just going to say, this is going to sound like an insult, but it's not an insult, okay? It's I mean this in the best possible way. Your voice has a sort of Pee Wee Herman-esque quality that I think distinguishes it. I mean, it's subtle, but if you listen for it. Again, I don't mean that to sound like an insult.
The very first comment on the very first episode is a comment by Grickles, somebody named Grickles, and the comment is, before Dan and Paul mentioned they were brothers, I thought that quote unquote Dan was just Paul putting his voice through a filter.
A Barry White filter, clearly.
Clearly.
So the trick to tell our voices apart, by the way, is that Dan, me, is always on the right channel, and Paul is always on the left channel. So if you're listening on headphones, that's a little secret insider tip. Okay, I'm almost out of clips, but I put in one more because I'm doing all the editing. So this is the sickest burn that I ever achieved on the podcast of Paul.
Burn of me?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I have the fire extinguisher standing by.
Put on your asbestos underpants.
Okay. Luckily, I was already wearing them, anticipating such a burn.
I was wondering what that wrestling sound was. Okay, let's go.
So scratchy.
I read the short story first, and then I read the novel later, all when I'm in my early teens, which is about the exact right time to hit it. It's kind of like The Last Starfighter for smart kids.
Hey, I like The Last Starfighter.
Oh,
wait a minute.
Exactly my point.
Damn.
Wow. Hashtag wrecked.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Also the day when I learned the word wrecked.
You hadn't heard the word wrecked before?
Paul,
in that context?
I'm not a desirable to market to millennial like you.
The question is, how would you spell the word wrecked?
Well, that's what took me a long time. That's why it took me half an hour to find out what that word actually meant. Yeah, so I made fun of our comments, but actually we get a lot of lovely comments on different episodes. It's on the Loading Ready Run forums and on YouTube.
Yeah, you can look at numbers, the numbers of downloads, it's been downloaded, whatever.
Yeah, which is about, a high water mark is about 6,000 per episode.
But there's something different about the seeing a number going up as opposed to, seeing actual, comments that it's like, yes, those are real people.
Yeah, like even the boy and his dog mansplainers were engaged, had listened more than halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
So that was cool. We really sucked in those.
Especially when we announced that we were ending this series, there's lots of very, all you have to do is say you're going to leave and everybody says all sorts of nice things about you. It's nice.
Yeah, it was really touching. I was like, maybe I should
stop more often.
Yeah. We should have lots of big comeback tours like Jay-Z.
Mm-hmm.
No, does anybody even remember that he retired? So yeah, some really nice comments along those lines, like Clefius wrote, "This is terrible news. This podcast has been my go-to for long nights where my children get up late in the night and I need something to listen to while rocking them back to sleep. It's been a great series, though, and I can certainly understand not wanting to have to watch Allegiant, so that's at least comprehensible." Janelmo wrote, "I have also enjoyed the podcast and are sad to see it go. I myself used it when I needed to relax and de-stress from studying. Someone said, I too will miss Fight the Future in my daily routine. It's been one of my favorites to listen to at work while also drowning out the pneumatic machine I stand in front of for 8 hours a day." And that was by Poop in the Air Tonight. Loading Ready Run commenter, Poop in the Air Tonight. And this was the one that really got me. By Damage. "Never underestimate how your content can reach people. I've just been through the worst year of my life due to health problems. I'm only 23. And your podcast every fortnight was a real highlight. I spent about 2 months not being able to stand up. So being able to lie back and listening to the podcast was one of my boredom savers. You also got me to watch some movies that I never would have bothered with or even known about.
Yeah.
Here's 4 people that had definitely made a difference in their life. So I want to say, if you're thinking of making something, it's a really great way to spend your free time. I mean, Paul can definitely testify to this.
Mm-hmm.
How long has Loading Ready Run been on the air?
About 13 years now.
So you've been entertaining people for that whole time. This year is my first attempt.
Some part of that time, anyway.
Yeah. Maybe a total of 45 minutes of that time.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's my first foray into this, into using your time to make things to try and entertain people. And it's really, really satisfying, even though it takes way more effort and time than you could have ever imagined it would. And, sometimes it is a pain in the butt. But out of the 26 episodes, every single one was on time, except for one that was one day off. Every 2 weeks. That's what we set out to do. Mm-hmm. Because I knew that to be useful in people's lives, it has to be consistent.
Yeah.
So, all of our commentators, let's thank them.
All right. 7 seconds left. Admiral Matt, Admiral Memo, Barcode Reader, B.O. Wolf, Bergie, Bernard, Biscuits, Booster, Clypheus,
Damage, Demi Teddy Bear, Dubious Wolf, Eric the Orange, Falcon, Fayili, Greg Sanders, Grickles,
Hakofo, Janelmo, Juliamon, Chaotic 4266, Kimiyori Baka, Kinbalakrit Cards, Lord Crusher, Lysander, Mara the Mara,
Mark C7, Master Gunner, Mono Snorse, Mutant Pie, Oli, Penthec, Lee, 180, Flip, Plains, Scythief, Red Nightmare, Richards, Rootbreaker,
Short Round 2099, Silver Swift, 6 Foot Turkey, Soso Sundere, The Martini, The Geek, Trisha Lynn, Uber Fail, Winter Panda, Zaldera, Zazreed, and Zyme. So, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for being engaged.
Yeah.
The one that made me laugh was 6 Foot Turkey every time. Like, I just pictured a 6 Foot Turkey commenting.
Yeah, typing on a keyboard.
I guess we want to give special thanks to Trisha Lynn of that list.
Yeah, she thought the podcast was worthy of being nominated for a Hugo Award, which seems crazy on the face of it, but
Hey, Paul, come on. I think we're up there with Ben Bova and Isaac Asimov.
Sure, yeah. Definitely.
Other content creators like that. Louise McMaster Bujold.
The idea that she considered the podcast to be worthwhile for that is hugely gratifying.
Yeah, so check out our website, geekingoutabout.com. And you can see Road to the Hugo Awards, Fight the Future for Best Fan Cast. That made us feel very good, even though we're stopping.
Yeah.
Still eligible.
Yes.
Vote for us. Should we start campaigning now? Find a Hugo person and send lots of emails to them. And tear down the signs of the other fan casts that you see out there.
Yeah.
Attack. Attack.
Yeah, we're going to go negative right away.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is really almost the end now. So thank you, Paul. I sent you an email about 1.5 years ago saying, do you want to build a podcast? I was probably influenced by Frozen.
That seems likely. The idea of doing a podcast, with Dan and I doing a podcast is very, it's a lot of fun to do, and it's sort of if nothing else, it's an excuse to talk about stuff every couple weeks. It's something that we definitely want to continue doing or do more of.
Yeah, so look for something bigger and better. So the last bit I want to talk about is the thing that appears at the very end of every episode, which is my friend Chiara, more properly, who does all of the intertitle segments, the part where it says, Fight the Future with Dan and Paul at the beginning.
And the story.
Yeah. Or plausibility.
And we originally got Chiara to do that. Partially, obviously, we wanted a different voice than just our voice doing it. And we thought she had a great kind of dystopian announcement style voice.
Yeah, and that's what we're going for, like the loudspeaker on the pole.
Mm-hmm.
But that means it was, plus the accent, it was not always understandable, or people who don't know Italian. Some people have mentioned that sounds like a dirty word in the title sometimes. Have you heard this?
No.
Welcome to...
Instead of Fight the Future?
Yeah. And now I can't unhear it. But oh well. One of our commenters was confused about what is said after the end of the ending credits.
Saying, not knowing Italian, I had been frequently wondering what chicken yamo meant, and I never remembered to ask.
So the explanation for that, Chiara herself can provide.
Hi guys, so we are arrived at the last episode, and I want to say goodbye to all of you and to reveal the meaning of the sentence ci vediamo. It means see you soon, and I hope to see you very soon in the future. Bye.
Here's a little bit of the session when we recorded all of the titles together because it was quite fun.
Platt.
Try an even longer.
Platt. Platt.
Yeah, that's good.
Platt.
Yeah, even longer.
Platt. 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 Platt.
Try one a little deeper. Plot.
Platt.
That's good. One more.
Platt. Platt.
Okay, great.
Scariness.
Good.
Or scariness.
Yeah.
Or scariness.
Try project a little bit. Scariness.
Scariness.
Or you could say a spooky version like scariness.
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 Scariness. Okay.
I like that.
With sugar.
Scariness.
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 Great.
Goodbye. See you later.
Or what would you say in Italian?
Ciao ciao.
Ciao ciao.
Ci vediamo.
Perfect. Yeah, believe it or not, that's always been a fantasy of mine, is to be a voice actor director.
So you, deep in your heart of hearts, you just want to berate voice actors. That's your...
Yeah, I just want to yell at Bobcat Goldthwait.
You'll be like, use your normal voice. That voice is weird.
Come on, Bobcat. If that is your real name.
I don't think it is.
So these are the last few seconds, which you're choosing to use to riff about Bobcat Goldthwait. But it sincerely has been super duper fun. Go back into the archives. You've got 25 other episodes to listen to.
You probably don't want to listen to this episode first, because
no,
that will be kind of silly.
So for the last time, let's say it together.
May the odds
ever always...
Wait.
Fuck.
No. Okay, good
That's
start.
A genuine screw-up.
That was a genuine screw-up.
May the odds ever be in your favor. All right. Take care. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Ci vediamo.
Perfect.